Welcome to The Advocates. I'm Aaron Dean. Attorneys for a Texas woman whose request for an abortion was blocked by the state Supreme Court has now left the state to obtain the procedure. Kate Cox was 20 weeks pregnant when she requested the court-ordered abortion. Cox says that her unborn baby has a fatal genetic condition. The baby is not expected to live more than a few days outside the womb. Cox's suit claimed continuing the pregnancy threatened her life and future fertility. The state's attorney general argued that she does not qualify for a medical emergency exemption to the state's strict 6-week ban. Cox attorney says Paxton's moves are very dangerous.
I mean, this is not a hypothetical or hyperbolic situation. This is a real family going through this and trying to figure out what to do. Patient, this is a real person going through a heartbreaking situation right now with her family, where not only is she suffering the loss of a pregnancy, but she is dealing with the real implications for her health and her future fertility.
Pregnancy terminations due to fetal abnormalities and other fetal medical problems are rarely discussed in abortion debates. There is a very little amount of data collected on them. And New York's governor says that the state won't allow discrimination or hate messages to circulate on college campuses. This comes after a congressional hearing where the presidents of Harvard, MIT, and the University of Pennsylvania failed to denounce anti-Semitism or the genocide of Jews. UPenn's president has resigned, and Harvard's president is facing pressure to resign, but has received support from faculty. New York's governor says that the state will take aggressive action against schools that do not comply with discrimination laws. State leaders say schools that fail to address those types of activities would violate a section of the Federal Civil Rights Act and the state's human rights law. And Campus Pride is making sure that queer students are informed. They are awarding their Social Justice Mini Award to projects on 13 college campuses. One of those winners is a student from John Brown University. Their documentary, Part of the Kingdom, explores queer life at Southern Christian universities. Mak, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Of course, I'm doing well. So let's jump right into it. How does it feel for you to have earned this grant from Campus Pride for making your film Part of the Kingdom?
Yeah, it's really awesome. I'm super grateful for the opportunity. It's going to help us paying for food and lodging for the production of the project. So yeah, I'm really grateful for this opportunity.
You know, when it comes to filmmaking, what made you want to get into it? Kind of share with our audience what was your inspiration behind getting into filmmaking?
Yeah, so I grew up loving film, loving to make my own sort of little projects, and then I decided I wanted to study film in college at John Brown University, and from there, I thought I would be more interested in narrative, but I found through my documentary filmmaking class that I actually really love creating documentaries. It was in that class that I pitched the idea of Part of the Kingdom, which investigated the queer experience at Southern Christian universities, specifically John Brown University. And yeah, in that class, I ended up getting to create that project. I was the director and the editor of that piece, and I just fell in love with it. Documentary creates a safe space for you to share your story, as well as provides a platform for people who lack access to a platform. And that's kind of the main incentive I have with my own work, is to provide a platform for queer members who often lack access to one, and also to promote healing for these communities, because I feel that within a lot of Southern Christian universities, there's been a lot of hurt and a lot of damage that's been done. So I'm just trying to provide a space where healing is possible.
You know, and you mentioned earlier that this grant is going to help cover your movie expenses, like you said, with lodging and things like that. But explain to our audience what kind of goes into putting a documentary together, because a lot of people think like, oh, I come up with an idea and I just get my camera out, but there's more to it.
There is a lot more to it. I feel that Yeah, it's a long process. It kind of starts with outreach and creating a proposal. So I posted something on my Instagram and said that I was looking for students from Bob Jones University, Harding, Liberty, John Brown, and Baylor, students or alumni, um, and was hoping to connect with them. So I posted that on my Instagram, and it actually spread around quite a bit. And I've connected with alumni at the very least from each of these universities. And from there, I started getting my proposal together, which is basically like a summary of your project and kind of goes into depth about your mission and what you would like to accomplish with the piece, how you'd like to connect with your audience, how the piece is going to look, all the little minor details um, that go into like what is going to bring your project to fruition.
Yeah.
And so I got that together, and then with my assistant director, him and I have been applying to grants, and we applied to the Campus Pride grant, and we ended up being one of the winners of that, which I'm very grateful for. And yeah, so that's kind of the pre-production phase
Mhm.
of what I've been doing at the moment. I'm waiting to hear back from a few more grants, and I'm hoping those will pull through. And after that, once we get fully funded, we are planning to travel to Arkansas and to start shooting there.
Yes. Well, that is very exciting. I'm very happy to know that you got that Campus Pride grant as part of the funding that you need to make this happen. So, I kind of want to transition a little bit, and I want to ask you about your experiences. When it comes to when you were on campus, we're seeing laws and measures at schools nationwide that are restricting queer conversations, topics, groups, etc. What was your experience like at John Brown?
Yeah, it was not the easiest experience. I feel like I was hesitant to attend John Brown because because when you're going into college, you're still at a really fragile age when it comes to your sexuality at times. Like I still hadn't become confident in what my sexuality was.
Mm.
And so I still wanted to explore that, but obviously with JBU's limitations on um, sexual orientation and gender identity, I wasn't able to explore that while I was on campus. But I having this um, having these guidelines pressed upon me, I decided that I wanted to do something to kind of push back. And so I made two short documentaries while I was at JBU, both titled Part of the Kingdom Volume 1 and Part of the Kingdom Volume 2. Um, and yeah, I got to connect with a lot of other queer students and interview them and hear about their experiences at JBU being queer at a Christian university. And I got to interview the president, Dr. Pollard, um, a few alumni, as well as a JBU professor at the time. And so, yeah, I feel like while the limitations that were on me were rough to deal with, um, I it kind of gave me some momentum with this project and why I wanted to create it. And yeah, so that was awesome. Thing I'd like the participants to who I'm interviewing for this project to experience is a form of healing in some sort. Um, and because I feel like it's very cathartic to share your own story and to have a platform that you've never had before. It's cathartic. Um, it's a great way to bring awareness to this issue at hand because I feel like um, when it comes to Christian universities, people aren't aware of how bad it can be because there are some alumni that I've spoken to who shared with me how there are these underground conversion therapy programs at their universities, and it can get really dark. And so I feel like there's not enough awareness surrounding what covenant guidelines at a Christian university entails. It's not always just like you can't be in a queer relationship. It's more than that.
Thanks so much for watching The Advocates. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to stream us live, and you can even subscribe on our YouTube channel. For The Advocate channel, I'm Aaron Dean.